Welcome to the Craft to Career podcast with Elizabeth Chappell, where every week we dive into how you can turn your craft into a successful career. Get ready to have the career you've always dreamed of.
Welcome to episode 99 of the Craft to Career podcast. And I say 99 with excitement because I cannot believe next week is the 100th episode of the podcast. I don't know, in my mind that feels like a really big hurdle and I'm very excited about it. And I have some exciting things I will be announcing next week to celebrate the 100th episode. So stay tuned. Come and join me next week for sure for the 100th episode of the Craft to Career podcast. This week, it is me. I'm sharing something. It's something that I just kind of wanted to share with you that's come up recently. But before I dive in, I wanted to just be a friendly reminder to you. I know sometimes we think, I will do this thing, I'll do it, but we don't. We put it off and we put it off. So if you have not left a review for the podcast, and if you think, oh yeah, I'll do that, pause and go do it right now, because that means so much to me and the podcast. I appreciate every single one of you who has left a review already. It really means so much. It helps me to bring great guests onto the show. It helps the podcast to live on. It helps other people to find the podcast. So if you have been meaning to go and leave a review for the Craft to Career podcast, just pause real quick, go do it right now, and I will be waiting right here when you get back. All right, thank you for leaving that review. And now I'm going to jump into this will be kind of probably a more brief episode, but something that I did want to share because it's been very eye-opening for me. So back, I think it's episode 72, I talked about what is success to you. And I talk a bit about what it is, how we can evaluate and what that looks like. And when my husband was on one of the very first episodes, we were talking about this very thing as well. And all this time, I've been moving forward with my business. I've been having growth. I shared recently on Instagram, like how much I earned in, I think, 2020 and 2021. And the difference in my revenue and profit, and they grew a ton. And I asked, who wants to see what I earned in 2022? And people, yeah, I do. And I found myself, and even just on the podcast, I'm going to get to the $1 million mark. And recently, just this last couple of weeks, months, I've been saying, what? I'm working so hard. I'm giving everything to this business. I'm passionate about it. I love it. But what is it giving back to me? And feeling burnt out a little bit. And not in a way that like I'm complaining about my job, but realizing, I didn't realize there was a catalyst that helped me realize why. And if you've listened to some of my past episodes, you've heard me talk about, and I felt weird bringing it up. I'll share it again and understand that it's like, but I'm sharing it because I feel like I had this aha moment that's really helped me understand. So the thing that I'm talking about, in the past, I've mentioned how, what's the word, anticlimactic it is when you get to these financial goals. You'll be like, man, when I get to this, that's success. And then you get there and it's like, that's it? Okay, well, what's next? And then, it's really this thing that it's never enough. You always feel like, oh, now if I get to that. So, okay, so there's that. And I get it. If you are like, you've made these financial goals and you haven't reached it, you'd be like, oh my gosh, that sounds so tone deaf. Like you cannot be serious. It doesn't matter what the financial goal is. So I'm not saying it could be $1, it could be whatever. My point is, and I'll share with you first a story of how I had this aha moment. And I'm just so grateful. It was so eye-opening for me and really helped me reshift my priorities. And I have a feeling this is going to be something I'm going to have to do over and over again and just rein it in. But this last weekend or 2 weekends ago, I was joining an online event that Amy Porterfield had. She just released her new book. It's a bestseller. She did a phenomenal job marketing that thing, I will say. I kind of followed along, one, because I love Amy. I've taken her course. But two, I wanted to see how she marketed this book and like learn from her how she's marketing. It blew me away. I cannot begin to touch what she did marketing wise. But anyhow, so I came to this live event that she had, and she invited Jenna Kutcher and Jasmine Starr to come and speak. And honestly, I signed up and I was like, I'm just going to pop on just to see how it functions. It was so good that I stayed on the entire Saturday, like driving my son downtown Houston to basketball games. I was like, hey, sorry, we're not going to listen to music. We're going to be listening to this thing about business. And we actually had a really good time listening to it together. And there were prizes for interacting. So he's holding my phone. I'm like, oh, this is the answer. Type that into the response. And we're laughing. And just, it was a fun bonding moment. But also on that ride downtown, Jenna Kutcher came on and started speaking about her business when she started. And she was a photographer at first, a wedding photographer, and she earned like $50,000 a year. And then she met this big milestone. She got to this big financial milestone. And I was like, I know. It's when she got to the $1 million mark. She was like, it's when I hit six figures. And in my mind, I was like, well, I've gotten to that point. Wow. Okay. This is relatable. Like all of a sudden, I feel like that's attainable and relatable. And so that was an interesting thing for me to be like, wait, why do I feel like she's so different, and so far off from where I am. So that was an interesting, like, whoa, Elizabeth. But then she said she was in the shower using her Herbal Essence shampoo, and she was like, so this is it. This is what it feels like to be a six-figure earner. I definitely thought I'd have nicer shampoo. Like, I just thought this would be way more, fulfilling, whatever. And she really evaluated. She stepped back and was like, I don't know if I want to be doing this. And so she got nervous, but she approached her husband and she was like, what do you think if I go back to earning $50,000 a year? I'm kind of tired of this, I'm not that much happier, but I'm working so much harder. And she said she was shocked that he was like, yes, please. I want my wife back. And she was like, wow, that was such an eye-opening moment for her. And the interesting thing is, the next year, she stopped hustling and stopped grinding and trying to just like run 1,000,000 miles an hour. She scaled back and she leaned into what she loved and was passionate about. So worked less, but worked with her heart. And the interesting thing is that next year, she got to the $1 million mark. Not wanting to, not trying to, actually being okay with 50,000 a year. So again, I have to be very careful when I think of this to not be like this secret intention of, oh, but then I really should get to that, when I was listening to this, we're in the car and I'm bawling, like tears are running down my face. And my son was like, are you almost there? I'm like, yes, wiping the tears away. It just hit me because I just could relate. I mean, honestly, a week ago, my husband came in and I was chatting about work and he was like, what if, because I've said this myself, he's like, what if you just designed fabric and quilt patterns and that's it? You just, simplify. And so I realized for so many reasons that I had been putting my metric of success into the dollar value. I'm going to get to the $1 million mark. I'm going to do this. First of all, it's very unfulfilling because it's a measuring stick that you never reach. As soon as you get to that, whatever your dollar amount is, you just move that stick up again and it just feels not rewarding. And I don't know why that is, but it's a very shallow metric. It just is not fulfilling. So Jenna Kutcher was like, so what is your measure of success? How will you know if you're successful? And I was like, I'm just thinking in my mind. I was like, I guess if my students get to the six-figure mark. And then I see people's responses like, when I'm laughing, when I'm out in the sun, when I am connected with my family. I was like, oh, geez, Elizabeth. Okay, let's try this again. And I said, when I'm laughing. No, that was my response. I was like, you know what? When I'm laughing, because I had realized it had been a while since I just had a really good, deep gut laugh, like just relaxed and laughing. And I was craving that, just craving that relaxation of just being present in life and being out in nature and just, taking a minute to feel the breeze, feel the sun, and just be present, not think about anything else. And I was like, okay, well that would be success for me. But then really just stepping back and evaluating, like, why am I doing what I'm doing? What really brings success? And so my shift in my priorities is a big one. Yes, I want to be financially sound. I'd like to be successful financially, like be able to pay the bills, all of that. You're not a successful business if you're in the red. And I actually really love the fact that I have a team, that I'm hiring people, that I'm providing an income for other people. That's very rewarding for me. My ultimate goal, though, the thing that drives me, like I know I will be successful when my students have success. Now, see, this gets tricky because what does that mean? Does that mean all of a sudden I'm putting this measurement on them? Once you reach this amount, you'll be successful because that's the very thing I'm trying to like not focus so much on, right? So I've really been chatting with my team and thinking, and what does that look like? And so I'm evaluating, and I'm really excited. We have an alumni retreat this September, and I hope to do it every year. And I'm trying to figure out how to help my students make some goals of when this happens, I will feel successful. And then we are going to, every year at the retreat, celebrate the people who have reached their goals. And also, I don't want to shy away from the fact that it's okay to have financial success. So I don't know what that's going to look like with celebration, but I do think there are milestones that I want to celebrate with my students and with my alumni and celebrate together. That don't let it be so solitary and let us see what is possible. Oh my goodness, we really can be doing XYZ. Look at so and so over here has done it. And to celebrate together. And instead of me going on Instagram and saying, look how much I earned, here's my profit, here's my revenue, I want to be pointing out my students' successes. My joy will come from seeing that I'm making an impact for other people, empowering other people to know that they can be successful. Like the sense of accomplishment, the courage, the confidence that comes. You can't get it in another way. There's no shortcut for the kind of things that happen to you personally when you experience success from your own labor, from going through the muck, from going through trying it and feeling like, gosh, that did not work. Let me try this and pivot. And oh, that worked. My gosh, this is amazing. People are liking what I'm doing. This is sticking. It's just such a rewarding feeling. And in any way that I can be a part of facilitating that, especially I feel such passion about helping in this particular community of creatives where it generally feels like we can't charge. This is something that usually people do for a minimum. If we charge at all, it should be very little. Not taking ourselves seriously, not expecting to have success, not knowing what's available to us, allowing that to like be for the big companies. No, I really feel so strongly about that. And I really want to empower and teach people how to find that success for themselves. So that's been such an aha, eye-opening moment for me. And like I said, it will be a constant reevaluation moving forward because there are the metrics that I'll be keeping track of. I mean, yes, I'll be looking at like how many people are signing up for this, but I have to bring it back to because the more people that are signing up for this, the more people will be learning how to grow their business instead of, oh, that means I'll be earning X amount. And so the reason I share this, yes, for a couple things. One, you're here on this journey with me. I think that's one of the cool things about having a podcast and being along the journey with someone is seeing behind the scenes how they grow their business, from the get-go. And so I've gone back a few times and shared what things have looked like along the way, but here you are right with me in this journey as I'm having this moment of realization of things I've talked about in the past, episode 72 and with my husband, what is success? But how easy it is to get sidetracked, to lose track of what we're doing and why we're doing it. And so for you as a listener, one, to get that behind the scenes look of, this journey, but then what does this look like for you in your business? What are you hoping to accomplish with your business? How are you wanting to improve somebody's life? How do you want to make things better for someone? Because that is what's really going to motivate you and push you forward. When things aren't going well, if you launch something and it's not doing as well as you'd liked, it's very easy to give up and throw in the towel. But when you have the mindset of, no, no, I know that I'm here because I want to make a difference in someone's life. I'm offering whatever it might be, and I know that this will benefit people. Then you have that fire under you to really move forward and to not give up and to like, how can I share this differently so that they get it? And that's going to make a difference, both in your marketing, your messaging, and in your joy. You will be able to step back, and whenever an opportunity comes or you have an idea, you can look at it in the lens of, is this going to help me accomplish what I'm here to do? Let's just say I'll use mine as an example. Is this going to help my students have success? And if it is, how can I make it so it will have the most? And if an opportunity comes, put it in that lens. Is this going to help my students have success? It's so easy. It's so easy then to say yes or no. And then it's so easy to know, what should I share? What should I be posting on Instagram? What should I be sharing in my newsletters? My students. I want to be sharing about my students and their success. And it's just so fun. It's like really fun because now if I get an email or someone sends me, hey, I want to share this, it's really exciting, it happened. I'm like, yes, I am so excited for you. Can I share this? I want to celebrate you. I want everyone to be able to know what is possible. And it changes everything. It all of a sudden work becomes enjoyable again. And not that it wasn't, but when you lose sight, when money becomes your objective, things go south real fast. And I look at the people who I love, as you can tell, Amy Porterfield and Jenna Kutcher are high on the list. I especially admire how Jenna Kutcher is just unapologetic about, my goal is to work less in life, and she talked about it, and I believe our time is so precious. We don't know how much time we have here in this life, but it's the one commodity that we share equally among everyone. There's no wealthy or poor when it comes to time. We all have the same amount. The only difference is how we use that time. And do I want to spend my time, how do I want to spend my time? Do I want it to be laughing with my family? Yes, I want it to be in my business, but not all of it. I want to make a big impact in people's lives. Yes, but I also want to be a loving wife, be a fun mom, have dinner with my family and go outside and just enjoy. And so that's why I really want to be very conscientious about who my mentors are. I've talked about that too. Who you surround yourself with matters. That was just a few episodes ago. And it's so true. The influences that I've had to unsubscribe to a few podcasts because it was driving me down a different path to just money and success and what can I do to have more, more, more. That was making me very unhappy. And I feel fairly confident that anyone who's focusing on the money is not going to be as fulfilled. That there just comes a lot more purpose and joy. And that's why I'm here. And if that's why you're here, you're in the right place. My goal is to help you tap into that, remind you of that, and to do that and be that myself. So if that is who you are, if you resonate with this, or if you want to, if you aren't there yet, but you want to, then stick around. I am here to help us remember our joy, our passion, to put things in perspective. Yes, we're here to have a business and have success. That's what a business is, right? It's to earn money, pay the bills, but it is not who we are. It's not our identity. It's not our reason to live. It's to help us live. It's to help enrich our lives. So that is my takeaway. My priorities shifted. This aha moment. And like I said, I'm sure it'll happen again and again. But I'm here to share with you my journey. And this was a really big, pivotal moment in my career where I really shifted some things moving forward and my focus and how I'm going to present things and how I'm going to interact with my audience. So there we are. Thank you for being here, for being a part of this community. And next week, I will be back with a new guest, Krista Watson of Krista Quilts. I'm very excited to introduce you to her. She was so fun to chat with, such a positive and motivational person, and a real go-getter. She's been very successful, but also shares a big chunk of time where she really struggled with her business. And I really appreciate her sharing that as well. But how she overcame that, years of time that was really difficult, and their entire family was hinging on this business being successful. And then how they overcame that as a family, as a husband and wife couple that work together, and how she has had a lot of success, and hearing the different ways that she brings in an income. So yes, I'm very excited for you to meet Krista next week if you don't know her already. So thank you so much for being here on the Craft to Career podcast. Again, hopefully you paused at the beginning of the episode and left a review. If not, hop on over and do that now. And also remember, next week is the 100th episode of the Craft to Career podcast. So come and celebrate with me, and I have some fun announcements to share. We'll see you right back here next Friday. Until then, have a great week.